professional world has been evolving quite a lot in the last couple of years, and it's always constantly evolving. So we went from like 5 days week from the office to working remotely, and then hybrid working. So it's very difficult like to keep on top of things, and the way of behaving is also sometimes pushed aside in a way. If you've been into professional world for a long time, or even like if you're really new to that world and you're joining a company, it can be like very overwhelming to understand like how should I behave. And if unfortunately you don't have like the right people managing you, or the right people like onboarding you, well, some professional etiquettes might be lost within like along the way. So today I'm going to give you like 9 tips that will make you like a better professional as well, and that will guide you in how you should behave and how you should like navigate the workplace. So tip number 1 might be like a very basic tip, but I think it's very important to say, like, it's to dress appropriately when you go to work. So depending on the field that you are in, well, you will have to dress accordingly. Like if you're in finance, well, it will be like slightly more businessy kind of look. If you're like me in the advertising world, marketing, well, you will have like a much more casual, smart look, let's say. I think it's very important because sometimes I've seen people coming to work in flip-flops. I'm not even joking. But you need to be very careful. Like you might be in a very creative industry as well, but you still need to dress appropriately because you have clients coming around. And even I believe that when it's time for someone to get promoted, well, top management, top executives will look at how you are presenting yourself, because you're going to represent the company, you're going to represent your clients, you're going to represent the brand you're working on. So you really need to show that, well, even if you're dressing like casually, you're still someone that, well, we can trust. So it's very important for you that, well, when you're going to the workplace, you're not dressed up as if you're going, I don't know, to the beach, or you're going dancing. No, you need to be casual. Smart is fine. Make sure that you're dressing up appropriately, because don't forget, like, your personal brand is very important. How do you want people to perceive you? Tip number 2 is something that I'm seeing less and less happening, and it's quite scary. And it's not only towards like people who are starting the career, it's also people who have been in the career for a long time. And the tip number 2 is acknowledge emails. If you are being sent an email, just acknowledge it. You might not be able like to do the task immediately, and that's fine. No one is expecting you like to just give up like everything and just have everything ready. But it's very important for you to acknowledge emails and give as well like how long it's going to take you to give back the work. You know? It is very important for you to acknowledge emails and to set deadlines as well. So if, for example, you have been asked to do a report and you know that it's going to take you 2 days, you can say like, well received X. So please note that I will be sharing it with you by Tuesday night or Tuesday end of play, for example. But it's very important for you to acknowledge. So many times I've seen people not replying to emails, and you have to chase so many times. It's not fun for the person who's chasing for the emails, who's chasing for a response. But it must not be fun for the person, for the other one as well, because then you can get really frustrated, you can be upset, and that's not the point. When you're working, overall, communication is key. So you need to keep communicating so that people will understand what is happening, and you will not be chased. I mean, trust me, you don't want to be chased. And in the case of the person chasing you, they don't like that as well. I mean, we are all adults, right? It's the same as delivering. Like if you order something on Amazon, you want to know what is happening. You want to know where's your delivery, right? So as long as you're kept up to date with what is happening, you're happy. You're not going to chase like the customer service for information. It's exactly the same in the workplace. It's exactly the same. So just make sure that you acknowledge your emails, and at least you keep communicating with the person that you are working with. And tip number 3 is not to talk over people. I think it's very important to say that, because most of the time when someone is talking and we don't agree with what they are saying, we tend to become like very defensive and we want to express our point immediately. But no, like you need to allow the person to finish what they are saying. You need to listen. even if you are disagreeing with that person. And once that person finish, that's when you can start talking about it and you can express your point of view. It is very important because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a two-way communication, right? You wouldn't want someone to talk over you, so just make sure that you don't talk over others. And if you feel someone is being talked over, well, you can just like flag it to the person who is not being very respectful to the speaker, and just say like, hey, can you let the person finish their point, and then you can express yourself. But it's very important, and this is something I'm seeing much more nowadays, that you will see people like talking over their peers, and then they get upset when it's happening to them. But hey, you're tasting your own medicine, right? So if you don't want this to happen to you, just don't do it. Don't do it as well. Tip number 4 is more something that happened in the last couple of years following the pandemic, which is nowadays we have like more and more calls happening virtually. And with that said, more and more you can see that people don't switch on the cameras when they're talking. I mean, it's something that happens with time, okay? This is how we need to work nowadays. We have Zoom calls, we have like Teams call, and when you're talking to someone, well, you want to be able like to actually see who's talking to you. It's the same way. Like imagine you go to a business meeting face to face. Can you imagine if the person you're talking to was just hiding their face? Or imagine if I was talking to you like this. I don't think you would be very happy. So it's the same, even in the virtual world. Like when you're talking, when you're addressing like different people, just make sure that your camera is on. And if for some reason you're not feeling very comfy with your camera being on, just flag it at the beginning of a call. Like maybe you're not feeling very well today, or for any other reason. Maybe there's some work happening at home, or your internet might not be good. But it's very important for you to flag it since at the beginning of a call, because you don't want to be put under the spotlight and someone saying like, can you please switch on your camera? But yeah, as long as you can, make sure that you switch on your camera when you're talking to people on a call as well. Tip number 5 will be to make sure that you prioritize your week and you prioritize your day. So I'm going to make a separate video about that, and I'm going to give you my tips to how I prioritize my week and also my days. But it's very important for you to prioritize, because sometimes you can get very overwhelmed by the number of tasks coming your way. And it is very important for you to identify what are the top priorities. Because let's be honest, if you're working, I'm sure you got that everything is urgent. But that's not true. If everything is urgent, nothing is urgent at all. So there is a certain level of urgency that happens within the workplace. And you need to make sure that you are aware on what are the tasks that are really urgent. So just make sure that you have your priorities set. And it might just be like, in my case, I write a lot. I have a lot of notes that I write. I have like weekly, I have daily, I write every single thing. That's how I work. But you have like some project management tools. Some people love to do it on Notepad. Some people, I mean, there are so many ways that you can prioritize your workload, but it is very important for you to know exactly what are the tasks that needs to happen throughout the day, or even like throughout the week. And if at any point you are not very sure what are the tasks that needs to be prioritized, well, you can ask the person that you're working with, for instance, your line manager, and they will be able like to guide you with what is urgent and what is not. But trust me, not everything is urgent. Number 6 is again, it's like one of these basic things that you know, but sometimes we can forget about it. And it's to always be respectful of others. Okay, so you need to be respectful of others, and in addition to that, I'm going to add, you need to be able like to read the room and read the different people that you're working with. So within that point 6, I would also add like to be a good observer as well, because for example, in my case, I work with so many different people, with so many different countries, nationalities, cultures. So it is very important to be able like to read the room and understand like how each person works. So you need to be a very good observer for that. And the second point is, again, going back to the point of you might disagree with some of your colleagues. However, you need to always be respectful of your colleagues. You might not disagree, but there's always a respectful way of saying like, hey, I don't fully agree with what you are saying. But it's not going to help as well if you just go like full aggressive mode and full defensive mode on them. but you really need to be respectful because, again, at the end of the day, we are all humans, right? Sometimes we are going to make mistakes and sometimes we're going to disagree with others. But I always tell that to the people I work with. Like, you build a relationship with your colleagues, not for good times. You build a relationship for bad times when you actually need support. And for you to get that support from your peers, you need to be respectful. You need to be someone that is seen as kind, as having empathy, and as being just, like, not rude with people. It will not bring you anywhere, to be honest, to be rude with someone. So just be kind to others. Point 7 would be, it's kind of in the same range of being respectful, but like as a point 7, I want to say, like, if you can support, like if you can be supportive, be supportive. In some cases, you will find yourself that, okay, I finished my work, it's the end of the day, I see my colleagues still working very hard on something and they don't seem very good, they feel very overwhelmed. Just approach them, ask them if they need any help. And yes, there are cases that you won't be able to help them because maybe you have other things to do, but it doesn't cost anything to offer your help to someone. And to be honest, it's just going to make you feel great, first. And secondly is that the person will be very thankful to it. And even if the person is not thankful, you will be doing something good and you need to be supportive. And there's always something positive coming out of it. So try to be supportive when you can be, and don't hesitate to offer someone your help as well. In most cases, people might not ask for help, or if they do ask for help, you will see that it's something that doesn't take a lot of time. Don't do the other's work. No, I'm not saying like to do someone else's work, but giving a hand will not only allow the job to be done faster, but it will also allow you to bond with that colleague specifically. So think about it, be supportive when you can, and offer your help. And finally, my last point can be very tricky, and I'm not going to lie, sometimes I do that. It's to try to put your phone away in meetings or when someone is talking to you directly. Try to put your phone away. Or even when you're working. I mean, yes, the mobile phones are part of our everyday life now, and sometimes we have to keep them on just to be able to deal with some emergencies from home, or we are waiting for delivery and all these things. But at the end of the day, you are at your workplace. And I sometimes find it very rude when someone is talking to another person and the person is not even listening. They are on their phone and they are doing something else. This is rude, and I always feel very bad for the person who's trying to express their point. And even during meetings, like, can you imagine you have clients around and they are not on their phone, and you have someone just typing on their phone and not even looking at them? I mean, at the end of the day, you can see who's doing that. I mean, we are all in a room together. Yes, it's less obvious when you're on camera. Or is it though? Because if you are asked a question and you're not listening because you were on your phone, well, you will have to ask, can you please repeat the question? So just don't be rude. Try to put your phone away as much as possible, because again, it's all linked to being respectful to others, and you don't want to be distracted by your phone when you're doing your work, because if you get distracted, it's going to have an impact on your work. It's going to have an impact on everything else as well. So as much as you can, try to push your phone on the side and only have a look to it. Like, I don't know, if you're taking a break, or if you're going to the loo, or if you're going for lunch, that's when you can actually use your phone. Or even if you know you're attending a meeting and that you will have to pick up your phone, or you're waiting for a call or a message, just flag it. Like, communication is key. As long as you tell someone that, hey, this is what's going to happen. So if you see me picking up my phone, I'm not being rude. It's just that I'm expecting that call from my GP, for example. Like, if you're in the UK, you know that, well, you have like a time range where the GP can call you, so they can call you at any time. So it's always good, like, just to flag before any call or any meeting with someone, like, listen, I'm so sorry, but I'll have to pick up a call. I don't know at what time it's going to happen, but it might happen during our catch up together. So just flag it. So here it is, like these are the key things that I wanted to highlight today, but I believe they are very important when it comes to like the professional world. And unfortunately, a lot of people sometimes don't think about them or even like don't apply them. And if you really want to be seen as a good professional beyond the work that you're producing, these are like the cues that people are actually looking at. So here it is. If I've missed anything else, or if you think that there are other things that you need to be following or you need to apply when it comes to like the professional world. So two more things that I wanted to add to the list. The first one is when you go into meetings, don't forget to bring something to write on, so like a notebook or even like a piece of paper or your laptop if you want to write some notes. Because I think it's very important for you, like if when you go to a meeting, might it be in a group meeting or even like a one-to-one, it is very important that you bring something to write on. Because, I mean, let's be honest, you won't be able to remember everything. Like at the moment you might, but if you're being asked questions or you want to go back to what was said during that meeting in like a few days later, you won't remember it. So it's always great to write some notes. And at the end of the day, what I've realized is that it's actually very useful because people come to you and ask, hey, did you take some notes? So even for yourself, it's always good like to just take some notes. So I would say like bring something to write on. I've seen so many times people coming to meetings with nothing apart from their mobile phone. But I mean, again, the more junior you are in a company, most probably you're going to be asked, hey, what was said in the meeting? Did you take some notes? So it's always better to come prepared than not. So that's a great tip for you. Tip number 2 is something a little bit more recent that I've seen on some virtual calls, not so much face-to-face, but I've seen it in virtual calls where I've seen people vaping on camera. I mean, listen, I personally don't mind. However, if you are on a meeting with clients or even with people that you don't know, it might not be taken like the right way. So it's always better not to vape or smoke on camera as well, because at the end of the day, you're in a work setting, so you still need to remain professional. So again, yeah, when you're like in the office, you will go out and have a smoke, maybe with people who are part of the meeting. But on that call, you don't really know who is going to be there, so it's always better not to smoke or vape on the call. So that's more of a good to know kind of tip. But yeah, I mean, I saw it recently, and like not only once, but I saw it a couple of times recently, and this is something that I was like, oh, okay, that's new. That's not something usual. But you see, but it's always good to just keep it in mind, because not everyone will be very understanding of this kind of things happening on a work setting, and mostly when you're in a meeting, a work meeting. So it's not casually going out for a smoke. You're actually in a work meeting where you're discussing like some specific things around work. So it's not the right place to vape. Else at some point we're going to have like people having like some drinks as well while discussing like, hey, what's the KPI? How many sales did we make this month? Yeah, not very professional. So just wanted to add these 2 points. Feel free always like to drop a comment down below, because I'm here to learn as well. Like I give you my point of view of things that I personally feel that are important when it comes to like the professional world. But however, I'm always willing like to learn new things. So if there's anything that you think I might have missed, below, drop a comment below. I'll be more than happy like to talk about it as well. And yeah, and maybe we'll start making like some updates on that, and maybe create like a part 2 of that video. We never know. There are so many things that can happen in the workplace depending on the industry you're in as well. So I'm saying that from a marketing perspective, marketing industry perspective. But if you're in finance, or if you're like in the medical field or hospitality, well, there might be other stuff that are very important for people to take into account as well. So happy for you to share. So I'll see you in the next video, and in the next video we're going to talk about priorities, how to prioritize your workload not to feel overwhelmed. I'll see you later.